Right. So the question is, what makes a person stagnant in recruitment and or sales per se? Laziness. Laziness and the lack of a good attitude. In every single thing that we do, we need to have a good attitude. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, my attitude is one of positivity, one which will help me get to the end of the day with a positive attitude. Okay, now a lot of people, when they come into a position of sales and in recruitment, what they fail to do is understand what the requirements are. And the very first, the most primal thing here is to have an instinct of a go-get attitude. Now, if you go into any job without really sort of understanding the role or not wanting to give yourself fully, you will see the result as such, which is going to be half-hearted. So when it comes to recruitment, what I've witnessed in the last 10 years that I've been in this industry is the people who are most successful are the ones who come in wanting to learn. They come in with an open mind and wanting to do research, wanting to find out, who are very enthusiastic about the industry that they're in and enthusiastic about people, because in recruitment especially, you're dealing with people. And if you're not enthusiastic about people or you don't like people, then certainly that's going to show and you're not going to be very confident in dealing with these people. So you must like people, you must have the right attitude, and that will translate into you getting people to in turn like you also. Because believe it or not, if I don't like you, you'll be able to tell. There'll be a sense. We talk about the atmosphere. You'll feel that in the atmosphere that this person doesn't really like me. It's difficult to really sort of get someone to like me. Sometimes when you walk into a room, you feel a little bit of coldness in the atmosphere. You don't know what it is. There's only one other person in that room. Maybe it's not really the temperature, but the coldness I'm referring to, of course, as you know, is the atmosphere which is being created. And it's usually the bad attitude or negativity which exists that kind of creates that. That's why in a sales environment especially, we try and have like-minded people, because energy flows in that room. People who bring in a negative energy also have the same influence as people who have bad energy. They can actually ruin the whole atmosphere of a room if they're not careful in what they say or how they sort of bring in their style of work. So very important to have like-minded people in an environment if you want that environment to be of effectiveness. Ultimately, all I will say to you is the experience I've received in terms of the right people, finding the right people right at the beginning in terms of interviewing, finding that positivity, finding that enthusiasm in a person is absolutely key before you even get them into the business. A lot of people didn't want to leave my business. A lot of people have had to be kind of encouraged to leave the business because they just were not right for the business and where the business was heading. But in a typical situation, if you go into a recruitment care environment or a recruitment agency kind of environment, if you do not perform, and it's purely because you've got a really bad attitude or you just haven't taken the time to sort of understand the clients that you're dealing with. This is in a sales environment, you will always have a manager who is a motivator. A manager is absolutely key because that person should recognize very early on in one of the people that they're managing as to where their mind is at. If they recognize that a person is struggling to motivate themselves or is just falling behind on anything, I as a manager would personally pick up on that and essentially give that person a little bit more attention, because that is what they need. You have to understand what's going on in their personal life. A lot of the times, the personal life, whether we like it or not, has a major impact on the professional life. So if someone has come in to my organization and they've been performing brilliantly for the last year, for instance, and I've noticed that for the last few months or so they've been lagging, then it's it's my job as a manager to identify that. And if I recognize that individual as someone who is of value to my organization, and let's face it, if I recruited that person, then of course they're of value to my organization. So it's in my best interest to make sure that the person is motivated enough to remain within the organization, because the other option is for them to leave the organization, and that doesn't help me, my organization, or that person in most instances. So what I would typically do is mentor that person, and especially if they are of value and I believe that they can be sort of helped, I would mentor that person, work very, very closely with that individual, send them on motivational training, etc. If I can't do that myself, then certainly they will need additional training and other motivational factors to be able to bring them up to par with the rest of the team. Other things which you can also do, there are always team members within an organization that perform better than others, or who outperform other departments. So what I would do is mix and match, change someone from a team that is not being as effective, let's say, in that team, and shift that person into a team which is being effective. Just on the subject of positivity, and being around people who are doing better will also motivate and encourage that person to do well. That's just one or two of the few things which I would try initially, just to get that person to get out of this negative mindset. Because let's face it, we all face that sometimes. It's no matter how experienced you are in life and business and motivation and sales, it's one of those things that we need to take stock once in a while ourselves, and we need the assistance of others in some instances.